that's a long way. Definitely. And also we have the Strouds, we have Marie, we have Ed Casey, and hopefully we have more people coming. Also we have Nasa with us. So to the oldest, not by age, but the one who was here before, I asked him to give grace for this opportunity and for the whole celebration to Byron Stroud.
Thank you. Good evening to you all. I haven't had a chance to say hello to everyone, and there are some that I do not know yet, but we are certainly happy to be here tonight, and I'm thankful, so I'm glad to have an opportunity to pray. Will you join me? Our gracious and glorious God, we give you thanks for the fellowship of your church, for as we go through time, we are not lost in memory and in love. To those whose lives have touched us and whose lives we have touched. We're thankful for this night where we are able to gather again after many years and many miles. We're thankful for the love that you have enabled us to share in this church, your church. We're thankful for all who have maintained it and made it possible for this church to continue 160 years witnessing in this community to your grace, your love, and your salvation in Jesus Christ. We ask your blessing this night upon all that we do and say, upon the food that we share. And we pray that as this gift of food strengthens our bodies, the presence of your Spirit will strengthen us in spirit and conviction to continue the witness that you have given us. Be with us now and enable us to enjoy one another as brothers and sisters in our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Oh, no, it's not. No way you're moving.
And now I'm in Stockholm.
Just like Michigan. Nice.
Close, everybody, please. Okay. We're going to take this so much of it. Don't move. Don't move, please. Now just echelon yourselves a bit this way. Don't move your head. Just move your bodies toward me. That's it. That's good. All right.
160 years.
Whenever. They are the Allerton and Norton United Methodist Churches. They are both very small congregations, but they are in an area that is growing rapidly, very rapidly. And on April 24th, we took in 5 new members at the Norton Church for a 20% increase, which tells you how tiny the church is. And the Allerton Church is a little larger, about twice the size of Norton, but we now have about 7 people who will soon be joining the Allerton Church. And we also have received word within the last 3 weeks that the loan and grant that we went for from Parish and Community Development work area for the annual conference is granting us $10,000 in grant money that does not have to be paid back, and $30,000 as loan money to do some work and some improvements around the Allerton Church to make us better able and prepared for the growth that is taking place out of that area. So it's an exciting time. We've got a lot going on. We have 18 children in the Norton Sunday School with only 36 members of the church. And Allerton went from 3 children in the Sunday School a year ago when I arrived to now having 14 children in the Sunday School. Growing fast, growing rapidly, and it's a fun place to be doing ministry as a result because it is just exciting that kind of growth taking place in the area. Personal life, I'm still single. My nephew is married, has been married now 4 years, believe it or not. He has 2 children.
Who is next? Who would like to be next? Ed or Stroud? Ed?
Well, of course, for Jeff and for Scott, who haven't met me before, I'm Ed Casey, and I was here from June of 1986, the day after Marie left. Marie, whatever day that was, I don't remember the specific day. To June of 91. I come back here and it's almost as if nothing's changed. I'm making the same mistakes that I made when I was here. So to Eleanor and to Ella, my apologies for confusing the two of you once again. Right now, I'm starting my 4th year as pastor of the Stockholm United Methodist Church. And we are in Stockholm, New Jersey, which is just off Route 23 in Sussex County. We're about 10 or a dozen miles away from Action Park and from Vernon Valley. And come Sunday morning, the skiers just go whizzing by the door. Every so often we talk about putting a net out in the road. So far we haven't been able to get the permission of the local police, and since their station is right across the road from the church, there's no way we can do it without them knowing about it. I just want to say to the trustees and to Harold Odell in particular, you trained me well. The Lord must have known that because he sent me to a church that had a cemetery. And a roof with asbestos shingles. The cemetery is still there. The asbestos shingles are now gone. But I know there is, knowing now that you can ask me questions afterwards, I'll answer the ones I know that at least half of you want to ask. No, I'm not married yet. No, I do not have any present plans to get married. If the Spirit moves me, you will learn. I also want to say there is hope. Just down the road from us in the Presbyterian Church is Warner Davis, the pastor of the Presbyterian Church, who is 7 or 8 years older than I am. He has never been married, and that is a condition that will change for him 2 weeks or a week from Saturday. And so, please be patient. There's still time. I don't know if any households, well, I don't know how Ida does it, but I just wonder how any household could possibly stand 2 pastors.
It ain't easy.
Elder in the Wyoming conference last week. She's a pastor. She'll tell you more about it when it's hers and Byron's turn. Maybe I stole a little bit of thunder, Elaine, but I just want to say congratulations. And it's a joy and a pleasure to be back here. This has really been a wonderful evening. And my mom and sisters are still living in Jersey. They're all doing well. My sisters now are during the last week and a half of school. Please pray for cooler weather. And it's a joy and a pleasure to see everyone here this evening. And there's a wonderful sound. That's new life in the church. That's a wonderful sound. The congregation at Stockholm is growing. We're going to have to, once again, start to think about things like additions. Harold, thank you for the experience. And just a little story of how we've grown. The week after I left here and I came to Stockholm, I asked the children to come forward for the children's sermon. And I had a little something to give them that week, and 20 of them were enough. Now when I ask the children to come forward for the children's sermon, it's a plug, and I have to make sure I have at least 40. But praise the Lord, I still feel like a kid at heart, as I did here, and I just feel so blessed to have been here with you. I miss you all. I will, continue to miss you all no matter where I am. You occupy a very special place in my heart. Finally, one last thing, the stoles that you gave me as a gift before I left here, the people of Stockholm just love them. Thank you.
Byron Stroud?
It is, I echo what Ed said about our opportunity to serve as pastor here and to be again with you tonight. It's been about 12 years since I was here as your pastor, maybe 13 now. We left here and went to Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, where I served 4 years. There were 3 churches when I went there, and 2 when I left. We merged 2 churches and made them one. Of course, that wasn't too difficult. They were only about 100 yards apart, and they had been separate for the whole of their history. In our area, when the Evangelical United Brethren Church and the former Methodist Church merged in 1968, it left us with churches on every street corner. You remember how gasoline stations used to be? If there was a station over here, and invariably there'd be one right across the street from it. Well, that's the way the churches were. And so after the merger, then we had a lot of churches in central Pennsylvania that had been sort of in competition with one another, but then were sister churches, and we just had the opportunity to merge to it. We were just getting things settled down and figured that maybe we had some things going, and they moved me. And they moved me to Altoona, East Juniata, part of Altoona, where there were 2 churches. And I was there 3 years, and then they moved me to Williamsburg, Pennsylvania, where we still are serving. There are 2 churches in Williamsburg. One is about 275 people, and the other, they have about 100 members. Average attendance vary somewhat, but the neat thing about the Code Forge Church is that there's a drug and alcohol treatment program center right within a quarter of a mile of the church. And on Sunday morning, we have half the congregation, 30 or 40 people from that treatment program in the beginnings. And we've had some really great experiences with people from all over. A lot of people come there from New Jersey and the New York area, Philadelphia area, and we've had some great experiences with them. God is certainly using that congregation to minister to a very unlikely group of people. And that always reminds me of the faithfulness with which you have hosted the AA group here in this church. I remember that the reporter was asking for some anecdotes about my time here. One of the things that I remember very strongly was coming over here on Saturday night after the AA meeting and opening the doors and letting some of the smoke out. Or if we forgot to do that, coming down here on Sunday morning and remembering that we had forgotten to open the doors on Saturday night. It wasn't always convenient. I don't know whether they still smoke in here or not for that, but no, not anymore. I don't know how AA operates anymore, but for a long, long time, that was not a convenient thing for this church, but you were always faithful in encouraging that and permitting that, and they've been meeting here longer than I know, at least 15 years, I would guess. But that reminded me of the kinds of ministries that churches can be a part of, can be involved in, and how important that is, that outreach into the community. I minister, I'm a pastor of churches, that's what I do, and I'm a spouse to a pastor now. Elaine is, as Ed was saying, Elaine has been serving in the church as a pastor for about 5 years now, 6 years? 6 years. She was a student at Drew. Drove 500 miles round trip every week to attend classes at Drew Theological Seminary and graduated from there, and is now is ordained an elder as of last Sunday at our annual conference. She won't come up and talk, but yes, father to our youngest son Micah. Anyway, good to have you. Good to have you all. It is different to have two pastors in a household. There's no question about that. We have to make appointments to see one another, and we do that with joy and with a great deal of thanksgiving.
Oh, yes.
You put up with our children and nurtured them, and so I can tell you a little bit about them. Our oldest daughter Peggy, whom you really never got to know very well, was married while I was here and has since moved to Nevada. She lives in Carson City, Nevada, and she has one child, our oldest grandchild, who is 12 now, 11. Anyway, we don't get to see them too often because of the 2,500 miles that separate us, but she seems to have found a place where she can be happy, and we're thankful for that. Our daughter Kathy graduated from medical school 2 years ago and is now beginning her 3rd year of residency at Altoona Hospital. And she's going into general practice. She will be certified as an osteopath and a medical doctor, an MD and an OD both. I'm proud of her. We think DO, what did I say, OD? Doctor of osteopathy, and also an MD. She's married and has 2 children now. I don't know the ages, but I'll guess 4 and 2? Good. Same age as Jason, Kevin's son Jason. In fact, right there. Hi, Jason. They live in Roaring Spring, Pennsylvania, which is only about 15 miles from our parsonage. We're thankful for that. I don't know how long she'll be there, but at least for another year. Our son Rob lives on the other side of the river from Philadelphia and works at Onham Hospital. I was mentioning to Mickey Heafy. Mickey took a chance on Rob and gave him a job when he was about 14 and taught him what it meant to work. And we've all been thankful for that ever since. Robbie really did learn that if you do just a little more than you're asked to do, you usually will please the employer and keep your job. And Rob has done that throughout his life. He's done very well as well. He's a perfusionist, which is the person who operates the life support system during open heart surgery. He maintains the equipment. He keeps you alive while they have your heart stopped. And while he was at Hahnemann, there was a little shake-up. They have a school there that trains perfusionists, and there was a little shake-up, and they needed a new director, and so they gave Rob the job of director of the School of Perfusion. And And in the 2 years that he's been director, they've gone from 25th in the nation to 1st. So he thanks Mickey for all of it. I was never home, so he couldn't even thank me. And then we have Micah, who was, 4 or 5 years old when we were here, and had his own unique problems. He is graduated from highe school, completed 1 year of college at Lycoming in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Lycoming College in Williamsport. It's a good United Methodist college. We don't know what he's going to do. He runs on it. The old story about walking to a different drummer. Well, Micah is one that walks to a different drummer, and we haven't figured out even where the drummer is, much less what the drummer is reading. But he's a good kid, and he is well, he's no kid anymore. He's a good young man. He has a good heart, and he feels that maybe he's being called into the ordained ministry. He has declared as an exploring candidate. For those of you who are familiar with those things, there's a process in our church. The first step is exploring, and then I don't know what all it is, but anyway, that's where he is at this point, exploring candidate for the ministry. Whether God will lead him that way or not, we don't care, but at least he's, as long as he finds something with which he can find some happiness and some fulfillment in his life. That's about it. Elaine can tell you a little bit about herself, and I would be glad for her to do that, and I hope you will. I would just say a word about our time here. I went into the ministry as a second vocation. I was in sales for 14 years, and most of you who know me have heard that story more times than you want to hear it. But there were some difficulties with my learning to live in a parsonage. That's a different lifestyle than I was accustomed to, and I had some growing up to do. I've never been anywhere before I came here or since I was here. I've never been in any church, serving any church as pastor, where I was accepted as openly and completely and I was loved as much as I was here. Have the best feelings, and I wouldn't tell this to any of the other congregations I've ever served, but I will say this to you as long as Joan promises to give me the copy of that tape. I have no better feelings, and I've served about 15 different churches now, no better feelings anywhere than I had here. This was a marvelous experience for us. God, I believe, truly led us here and provided an opportunity for me to complete an education that I felt called to complete and needed, and to just to be myself. You don't really know what you did for me, and I don't know that I can put it into words, but I'm truly thankful for the short time that I was here. And as I said to somebody, I often ask myself, when I'm allowed myself to think about this, I've asked, why in the world did we leave Stony Point, New York? I know that would have happened anyway, sooner or later. Bishops have a way of doing that. About the time you think you're settled, you find out you're not. But we miss you. I have to say what it is. We miss you and we love you, and we thank you very much for having us back here this evening. This is truly a wonderful evening. Thank you.
I'll be shorter.
You always were. I'm 2 inches.
I was just telling Byron when we were coming up toward the church that when we left here, I thought I was going to die. This was home to me, and it was terrible to me. One of the things I remember was one Sunday morning, Byron had a migraine and just could not get out of bed. And he said, "Go over and do something." And I didn't know what to do, and I was frightened. I was so scared, and I didn't know what to do. And we had a Sunday school class down here, and I was a part of that. And I remember somebody came by, and I was very curt with whoever it was. I think it was Jane Granito, but I'm not sure. Because I was so nervous and frightened about standing in front of you all and doing whatever it was I was supposed to do when I hadn't decided what I was going to do. And as I was going up the stairs to the sanctuary, I thought, Elaine, you're being silly. These people are good people, and you love them, and they love you. And that gave me enough courage and it relaxed me enough to go up, and I think we did a good thing, I'm not sure. But
I think you did.
But I want you to know that wherever I go and whatever I do in ministry that's good, you are a part of that, because you help to Lord with me and give me enough courage to be who I am. And if you ever hear anything good about me, take a piece of that for yourself, because you've done that.
It's always good to hear if you would have said, well, you have gone before with the other pastors. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we have Reverend Parker. Could I ask you something? Would you play cross?
Hold on.
Jimmy Carter's mother, who, as you know, was a staunch Baptist, once said it's okay if Christians tell a white lie. That God doesn't hold that against you. The reporter kept pressing her. Mr. Lane, give me an example. What do you mean by white lie? Well, she didn't say it. Finally, he kept it up enough, so she turned to him and said, you know, remember a couple minutes ago when you came into the room and I said, it's good to see you? I tell you, friends, it's good to see you. It's not a white lie, it's a white truth. And I call it a white truth because white, you know, in our ecclesiastical and language, is a symbol for joy. And it's an unbounded joy to be here. After, this will sound like antediluvian days for you, but it was 39 years ago, this month. When I came to be the pastor of this church, you may have heard about a pastor who was leaving the church, and he noticed one of the parishioners who was sobbing inconsolably, and he said to her, hoping it would make her feel better, oh, please, don't cry. The person who follows me, I'm sure, is going to be a much better preacher than I am. Whereupon she began to wail all the louder, saying, that's what they said last time. Well, there have been a lot of last times since I've been here, and I represent a brand of Methodism that, believe me, has now disappeared. Trust me when I tell you that until my name was read off an annual conference, meeting in Jersey City, to be appointed to First Church Shirley Point, I have no idea where I was going to be sent. Absolutely none. One DS already told me, and the other DS already told me I'd been at another district, and so here I came as a brand new experience, and what a wonderful 4 years it was. To give some part of hope maybe to Ed, and to Marie, let me say that when I left here at the age of 35, I was unmarried too, but within a year. Married, and most of my needless to say, we have, I just mentioned firstly, we have two daughters, both of whom are ministers in the Methodist Church in New York. And we love and admire just as much as working for ABC and television sports. And we have now 4 grandchildren, and some of our family is moving ahead, and we're grateful to God for that, to be sure. Well, this church during those 4 years did a lot of things, and I think probably the greatest thing we ever did, which also will bear its mark down through the journey in generations, was, and some of you may remember this, we sponsored a German refugee camp. I was living in a parsonage, that strange parsonage with an attic that we could only get to through the bathroom. And in any event, it was an empty house, and so Gerhard Stolper came over, and we had a dinner here in this very room, and I remember so well because, you know, many of you know German, which is we call the Edelsprache, the noble language. if you don't want something, you say, thank you. You do want something. The dog, you do want something. You say, goodness. So people were pouring coffee for their eyes, and he said, thank you, and thank you. And no, how surprised he was. They were wonderful English students. There was Gerhard and Elsa, and then their two children, Peter and Ava. And I want to just tell you that they're both now living in this country, thanks to the First Methodist Church of Stony Point, which really began their journey here. Peter's out in Indianapolis, and Ava's living down in Alabama, and they have two boys. And the Stokers themselves are advanced in years. They're both living in Allensport, and I in contact with them, and they never write to me what they speak about Stony Point. So you see, the fame of this church now can be carried to the two continents, very literally, and that's a wonderful thing. Let me tell you a story about a hen, okay? The hen went into the library, and this was a very exceptional hen, it was appreciated, and it took a book, and it said to the checkout person, the decoration desk, book, and they gave her the book, and out the hen read, and then came back a little bit later, and then book, they gave her another book. Now she went funny. They decided they better see what was happening. So they followed the hen down the street and around the corner to a park. And there they saw a big frog. And they saw them take the book, and they laid it in front of the frog, and the frog looked at it and said, whatever marks I may have left on First Methodist Stony Point, I can be the one who lays claim, if we please, to having given the church bell its name. Because of a rather unfortunate thing that happened the last night I was here, by some relatives of persons in this room whose names will never escape my lips, I promise you. While I was showing my success in World Group around the town a bit, we especially moved in, some well-meaning people kind of went into the parsonage and discarded a whole raft of papers, including the files of the church bells, but one was saved and rescued. And this makes collectors, I'll be happy to contribute this to the archives of this church if you would like me to. But let me call your attention to my main, please, to just a couple of little items in this. One has to do with George Colpatrick replacing Luther Jones as head usher. That's a headline. There's a piece here about the United Methodist Women that refers, if you will, to Mrs. Lucian who was even then active in the United Methodist Women. There's another piece about something that is referred to in the Centennial Journal that reminds us of the fact that the West Point Choir used to come down here and often sing in this church, and they came twice while I was here. I had the privilege of accompanying them, if you please. I can even tell you what they sang. Turn battle bands like Gustav Holst. And that was a great joy. Some of you may remember, if you were here then, Philip J. Cartwright, a man with one arm who came and sang at Christmas time. And I'm going back to the bar last week before he was here. But in any event, he had an expressively good voice. He died a few years ago, so sorry to say, but he was really a wonderful, wonderful person. And this church bell speaks about junior choir, singing in a couple of places, and some of you already spoken to me that when you were that high, you remember singing in the junior choir under me. I mentioned the German copy before. One time we taught the junior choir to sing on Beste Board in German. They sang it in church. We invite anybody who wanted to join us in German to do so. Not many did, you may be sure, but we told, we had a dog, Cesar. Penny McElroy lived in this next house, used to cringe when he walked by. He'd say over the bar, fiercely. He wouldn't bite anybody, he was one small exception. One time I came to church and I had to go up that afternoon and apologize because Cesar had accidentally bitten it. It was the strangest reason she never came back. I can't understand why. But anyway, we said this Cesar understood German. And so the kids in the junior choir, Charlotte Boyd, and those other kids, they would throw a stick and they would say, Cesar, look at this stick. You know, please get the stick. So he would go back and he would bring back the stick. Then one time, one of the kids threw the stick and said, Cesar, I pressed the board. You know, a mighty fortress. Way Cesar came back with the stick just as much as it took you to said fetch the stick. So much for his understanding German. I suspect it was something else. Well, I could go on and on with my memories of this really memorable church, and it was magnificent and lusted will always live in my memory, to make sure. I spoke before about a minister who was leaving. Let me tell you about another one who was leaving the church, and besides the people were lamenting his going, as is customarily the case. And so he said, well, you know, Jesus called me here, and now Jesus is calling me to go someplace else. Whereupon one of the dear people said, what a friend we have in Jesus. One of the first things we did in this church when I arrived was we had a Wednesday night Bible study, which wasn't always a Bible. And at my suggestion, we began to really exegete. I didn't call it that. That's really what we were doing. Tennyson's poem, In Memoriam. Everyone Ryan and you were there that we did that. You may even remember. We took a section each week, I would copy it, and then we would talk about it, discuss it. It really is a beautiful poem. No question about it. Well, you may remember some of the scenes of that poem. Strong Son of God, immortal love and we have not seen thy face by faith, and faith alone embrace believing where we cannot prove. Thou seemest human and divine, the highest, holiest manhood thou. Our wills are ours, we know not how. Our wills are ours to make them thine. Isn't that true? Our wills are ours to make them God's, to make them Christ. I want to tell you that this church does have a friend in Jesus. And as much or more, Jesus has a friend in this church.
Thank you so much, Reverend Parker. Any questions for Reverend Parker?
Does he still play the piano? Could you play us?
Could you play?
Could you play a song for us?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
The Lord is on your side. Up behind the church here, on top of the rocks up there, and I thought it was pretty high up there. Down that I remember. And of course, moving Marie, that was always a fun job. We moved you in.
You forgot to mention, Brad, I was sitting playing by an old punk organ, a folding organ. There's been a strong wind.
Yeah. Of course, Ed, you know, he was just so great to have, and such an easy guy to know and have here, and Byron and Elaine, again, we just felt so comfortable with them. It was great memories that I had for the ministers that we've had. Isn't that lovely?
Okay, Marcia, Pam, and Debbie. So we have 3. Okay. What about Byron? The children, teenagers?
Nicole was baptized.
Nicole? All right. What is your name? Alan. Alan. Someone else? Byron? My granddaughter. And by Ed? Jason. Jennifer? Christina and Greg. Danny?
No, just Craig and Catherine.
That's right.
You can get you.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right. And by Marie?
Yeah.
Jay? Michael? Danielle?
Yeah, she baptized my brother's baby, Billy.
Kimberly?
Baby boom.
That's a lot. Those are the baby booms.
You're catching up, Mike. Don't worry.
And what about marriages?
Reverend Clark.
Reverend Clark?
Tonight.
Oh, wow. Single married you? Marie.
Ed married Charlie and I.
Our Easter program proceeded to completely, in announcing their name, proceeded to
the Easter Bunny, Ed.
It's so important to remember and also to say thank you when someone has done, have to make a difference in your life. And I think each one of these ministers have done a difference in many of your lives, And I wasn't here before, but now it's like, my goodness, you have done a lot of work and you have prepared the church, in here. And for those who will come after me, so we're going to remember this 160th anniversary. And I think you deserve, each one of you, an applause. Thank you. Any other comments or words? Yes?
I would just like to say that it is so nice to have all of our former ministers and their wives and so forth back with us. And it's very nice to hear their comments of what they feel we did for them, because sometimes it's like we don't really think in that line. We just kind of think of what the ministers do for us. We don't think of what we do for them. And sometimes it's difficult when you're the minister and you're part of the congregation, because there are problems that arise and you have to work through them. So sometimes you kind of forget about it, but then when you get here tonight and you hear all the good memories and the good thoughts that the ministers have taken away and that we have had, and because of the way they have touched our lives, it's really great that we can get together, and so many of us are still here, and these feelings are so good and so positive, and it's really great to have all you back with us. And we're happy that you've spent some time in your ministry with us at various times, and we hope that you all will continue to have good congregations and good feelings in the future. So thank you all for coming tonight.
I just think, I come when Marie brought me into the church, and something I'm very thankful for. But listening tonight, I see Byron and the other ministers that came down. You see what you missed if you weren't here. It touches you. The church is very good. It does a lot for the community. There's one thing that, and I think of that all the time because it happened to him. I come from the Catholic religion, the Methodist. Sorry, Bradley. Part of Sunday schools, we take a trip to Repall Lake. We used to do that. And I had a Catholic friend who went along with us one day. Of course, a priest never goes to the beach and takes off his clothes. I gotta tell you, she's sitting on the beach on the sand with everyone else, and Ed walks up and drops his pants, and he's got his shorts on. About
and they said to me, "You're going to go swimming in those?" And I said, "Gee, well, what am I supposed to wear when I go swimming?"
Any other person, any other comments? Yes, I'm there. Could we get everybody up for a picture of the ministers? Oh, yes. Group picture.
Okay, so it's on? Yeah, that one, the red button. Okay.
Anyone remember the name of the first pastor here?
I wasn't around.
This Reed was the first one I believe. Mr. Reed. And his son is Florida, and his name's in the church bell. We always send us donated to the church bell. And I can remember Reverend Aiden, there was a hole in the roof, and he was on their shingles, and he was donated. He was here for about 17 years.
They painted this whole church by themselves.
He did paint the whole church by himself.
Any other ministers? If not, let us have our heads in silence and meditation in memory of those who have gone before us.
some of the items that we do have for sale this evening. We have a commemorative mug, the picture of the church on it, 160th anniversary. They are on sale for $5 a piece. We have a cookbook. It's a collection of recipes from all the church members and friends of the community. That's on sale for $7 a piece. And we have a church directory. We have a few left, and they are on sale for $3.50. And before you leave tonight, if you're interested in purchasing one, see Shirley Odell. One other thing, I would be remiss if I didn't say that Godleskis, Bob and Connie, couldn't be here tonight. They got their nights confused, but they did arrive on Sunday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I guess they went to Joanne's house, they went to Joan's house, and they ended up at my house for dinner. They were at Susan's house, and they're doing very well. And they wanted to convey their best to everyone here this evening. So I thought you might like, I want to share that with you, that they are doing well.
On behalf of the church, and to say thank you, we'd like to give mugs to our former pastors and their wives, to say thank you for everything. Thank you. Or,
She said,